Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, actually Amungus here, your coach of the Atlanta Sobble, and this is finally it. PWD Season 2 all comes down to this. We have finally the championship match between myself and the Atlanta Sobble and Coach Bloud9 and the Immortal Drampa. So, with all due credit to everybody else that took place in PWD Season 2 and the finals, I think that it's at least fair, in my opinion, to say we got two of the best possible choices in the championship match, and we've got a very high level game worthy of a championship for you guys today. You got the number one seed on my side, the Atlanta Sobble. We went 9-2 in the regular season, had a tremendous regular season run. Took out another one of the top seeds, the number 2 seed to be specific, in Shining Shuriken and the Fargo Phalanx in the playoffs. And then you have Bloud. Coach Bloud had a slight rough patch in his season, but has pulled off 7 straight victories up until this point between the regular season and the playoffs. He finished with 4 losses in the regular season and has taken out Coach Arts, who was a top runner, Coach Squid, who was a Coach of the Year candidate, and now he is here in the finals to compete for a championship. Me personally, as far as strategy goes, I wanted to bring the Blastoise lead just to cover the option that Cinderace wouldn't be able to lead and take off on me. It was kind of a concession in some ways, but also just a way to go for damage on one of the biggest threats on my opponent's team. We played against this coach and in this team in week 3 of the regular season, and while we narrowly snuck out a victory, we definitely had some RNG go our way. And if there was one Pokemon that presented a huge problem for my team in the week 3 matchup, it would have definitely been the Immortal Drampa's G-Max and one of the MVP candidates for the league, Cinderace. So, as we predicted, Coach Blau did lead with the Cinderace, and instead of going for the flip turn, which was kind of the intended play, we're going to go for the Earthquake because he does have the Seismitoad in the back. They do both really good damage. It's a 2-hit KO either way, and so therefore I didn't want to take the risk of being locked into an attack that I couldn't use. If he were to go that route, seeing the fire versus water matchup, he goes for U-turn instead though, after taking damage. And by the U-turn damage, I can already tell, first turn of the game, that the Cinderace is banded. He does go to a Seismitoad as well, although he probably thought when he clicked the U-turn that he had the speed advantage, and or was maybe thinking he was going to test to see what kind of set I had in case I was Scarf. So we can't really do a whole lot to the Seismitoad. We're going to go right to our Tangrowth, and that's actually exactly what Coach Bloud was predicting. And he gets some big damage off as well as a poison on one of the key Pokemon, not only in this matchup but throughout the season. Tangrowth, not only is it soaked up hits for me all season, but in the week 3 matchup against Coach Bloud, it was Tangrowth that really turned the tides in my favor with the Ancient Power boost and of course its ability to tank hits that are super effective against it. The combination of those two things allowed me to get back into the matchup and just narrowly pull out a victory. So he was most likely predicting that I would go for the Giga Drain here, kind of no risk play, but instead I'm going to go to one of my important techs for the matchup, and I'm going to go expecting his switch to my Claydol. He's dedicated a good part of his team to his electric terrain abilities, you know, as far as bringing Pinch Urchin to set it up, and then Raichu and Hawlucha both to abuse it. So being able to put in work against those members of his team was definitely a big reason why I brought this set on Claydol. Also, the certain coverage moves that the Pinch Urchin does have allows me to set up in its face pretty well, and it's actually going to trigger my weakness policy this turn when I go for the second Rock Polish. This was a great position to be in, obviously. I knew that there was certain things that could still get in my way, and it actually comes to pass that Bloud plays around him a little bit better than what I do and is able to take this down, but not before it puts in a little bit of work. It's gonna take out the Pinch Urchin here, which is pretty huge. Or wait, the Pinch Urchin sash, my bad. So anyway, we're gonna start punching holes in the team here. You know, we put Pinch Urchin down to 1 health, and he does end up sacrificing it the turn after. But we like that position for the fact that the electricity disappears on the same turn, and it kind of takes away a lot of possibilities of what he could do with those 2 Pokemon. Or at least it takes away some of the most dangerous possibilities for those 2 Pokemon. Because at this point that I'm at, you know, he's gonna want to go for priority moves and or however much speed he possibly can in order to take this thing down. Knowing that the Cinderace was already banded though, and that it only has access to Sucker Punch for a priority move, I could have just swapped it out here. I would have lost my boosts, and of course I would not have had access to weakness policy had I chose to bring it back in. But either way I went about it, the Cinderace would have been locked into Sucker Punch. So if I would have switched, it would have just been a easy way to avoid some damage. I could have gone to Sableye, which is what I do end up going to. I could have even gone to Tangrowth and just switched it right back out again, knowing that he had to either Sucker Punch or switch, and then gotten a little bit more health in the positive as opposed to the negative. But you know, it is what it is. We end up losing our Claydol there. It does get some good work in just being able to take out the Pinch Urchin and stopping the electric terrain for the rest of the match. So he's gonna go to Raichu. I'm gonna start Calm Minding up in its face, and really, like, I know that I need a few boosts, but in the face of his special attackers that he brought, I should be able to kind of just do whatever I choose. He's gonna go for Paralyze here, which is slightly annoying, but you know, like the speed is not really as much of a factor in the case of Sableye because it has access to priority and is never a fast Pokemon anyway. So we're just gonna we have 2 boosts up, and even though I'm pretty sure I need at least 3 to do the work that I need to do, knowing that we have the chance to miss turns now, we're gonna go for a little bit of damage and see, you know, where we're at. he ends up volt switching and that kind of thing. So while that probably would have been a huge hit and maybe even a KO on the Raichu, you know, we're going to get it off on the Rhyperior instead, which is something that needs to be chipped and worn down. We get the special defense drop, but you know, that's not the most important thing as far as hacks is concerned. We're just gonna basically try to do whatever we can to play smart, and even though we could go for more damage, we're gonna, you know, protect ourselves from this thing, not only for Sableye's sake, but for anything else it may come in against. We're gonna go ahead and burn it. With that being said, I don't even think on Aegislash this thing really has damage potential, but it can still do things like soak up hits. I don't know if he brought Stealth Rock, excuse me. You know, it's definitely still got its utilities, even if it doesn't do any damage. But against the few physical attackers he has left, we want to protect this thing at all costs. And then against the special attackers, of course, we have the priority Calm Mind that we can try to rely on there. The main thing that we really still need to play around is, of course, the Cinderace, because when it comes in, we cannot burn it, and it's not only got speed on me, I'm paralyzed, and it has also access to Sucker Punch. So it's just really like a troublesome Pokemon, of course. We're going to try to just keep the Sableye as healthy as possible for as long as possible. Like I said, we're not really concerned about the paralyzed, but maybe we should have thought more about our health and just gone ahead and went to full, or maybe we should have just went to damage, because technically, well, we do get paralyzed that turn, but going for what we can go for, you know, is the best way to try to mitigate that status effect. You try to accept the fact that we're going to waste occasional turns. He's going to pivot around us. It really would have been great for us if he would have went Cinderace here, but instead I believe he's going to go into Rhyperior again. He's taking a while to think, but I'm pretty sure he's going to go into Rhyperior again. Maybe he's calculating to see if he's going to live the Shadow Ball. Oh, he goes to Seismitoad. Right. And we actually get paralyzed again, which is an unfortunate turn to get paralyzed on, because we would have been able to pick up some pretty big damage no matter what he would have gone into with that Shadow Ball. So we go for it again, and he's gonna knock off our leftovers. You know, that's fine, but you know, like I was saying, 2 of those Shadow Balls hit would have been really, really great for us. And at this point, we're just kind of firing them off, hoping to not get paralyzed too much. But we also got to make sure to keep this thing as healthy as possible, so anytime we're anywhere close to 50%, especially now that we don't have leftovers, we're going to want to go for that. This Calm Mind right here, probably unnecessary, but maybe it was just, you know, when you see the damage on the Seismitoad, maybe you just want more. But you got to keep in mind, Seismitoad and Rhyperior are great walls, but they have no way of recovering at all, besides of leftovers. So, you know, maybe that was a little bit like too much respect for those. Yeah, so at this stage in the match, you know, it's getting very close. Blob's probably taking his time thinking, trying to figure out how to deal with these threats. He doesn't want to go for the special attacks, so he just goes for the nuzzle. Maybe thinking I might switch, but I don't know, but probably just trying to avoid my massive special defense right now. And it's at that point that Raichu's gonna go down, and that's actually still one of the early kills in the game, although this game does start unfolding at a much higher pace once the Cinderace comes back in. Yeah, so he's gonna sack the Rhyperior there, and then he's gonna go into Cinderace. Yeah. Like I said, once the Cinderace comes in, things definitely start getting a lot more problematic. He's actually able to take down my Sableye in one hit. Not really much I could have done about that. I mean, maybe max guard, but there's really not a whole lot of point. When I brought the Scarf Blastoise for this thing specifically anyway, it starts becoming apparent, though, you know, that the timer's upcoming, and therefore at this stage in the game, the hazards are pretty huge for him. You know, I thought I picked my moves pretty quick and that kind of thing, but it is what it is. I spend a little bit of time thinking here, but for the most part, it's just a part of the anticlimacticness of Gen 8 games. We actually go to Miltank here predicting the switch into Seismitoad, but instead he gives us Hawlucha, and we're okay with that because we do have the Play Rough, the Ice Punch, and the Chapel Berry as a tech to try to live in attack. He's actually going to show an interesting tech of his own here, though, and he's going to go for the Power Herb Sky Attack and trigger his Unburden boost that way instead of with the Electric Terrain. And it's actually going to miss, which was huge for us I'm not sure if it would have killed, but it definitely would have done a ton of damage. It's just huge. Especially if it would have killed, it would have avoided a lot of damage on this Halucha. And possibly the game would have just been over right then and there. My Blastoise does have quite a good amount of defensive investment, but that was just a really huge miss. He ends up picking up the crit on the close combat. I'm having a hard time remembering. Did I switch my item? Oh, I did switch my item. Maybe that was another key thing, is I could have possibly killed the Halucha had I stayed with my Chapel Berry. But at this point, we're gonna go to our Aegislash. Obviously, the Sash is not a factor because he has a few layers of hazards up. But we're just gonna go for a nice Shadow Sneak here. Pick up this kill. And then that be that. I gotta say, I'm not sure exactly how the rest of this would have played out. He's gonna go to Cinderace here, which I haven't been clicking off the Pokemon. And he's gonna Dynamax, which will use up the rest of the timer. I go to Tangrowth and sacrifice it, but I could have Dynamaxed on the next turn, I mean. And, you know, like I said, it is what it is. I feel like I played my moves pretty quick and that kind of thing. Oops, wrong one. Oh, I clicked the wrong one. There. But the timer's gonna exhaust, you know, during his Dynamax, and Bloud's gonna pick up the win, and of course that would make him Season 2 champion of the PWD. If the battle would have played out from this point, I think it's probably more probable that he would have won anyway. Although I did still have my Dynamax. I didn't have a way to max guard on either of the Pokemon I had left. So I would have still had to somehow last the rest of this Dynamax. One positive, maybe I could have picked up the kill with Blastoise because of the Choice Scarf. And if I didn't Dynamax, you know, I could outsped. But it's kind of unlikely. Flip turn would have done a lot, but probably not too much more than the Earthquake did. So like I said, Bloud's going to pick up the 2-2 win. And that'll make him Season 2 champions of PWD. You know, it was a good run. We came extremely close. But it is what it is. And all we can do is close out the season right there. Big shout out to everybody that was involved in Season 2. Of course, shout out to my opponent Bloud. Commissioner Shiny Shuriken. Everybody who made it through the season. It was a rough season with a lot of tough games. Everybody took some, you know, critical losses at some point in the season, and if you made it through all of that and managed to keep trucking, I hope that you got better during the season, because I know I certainly did. We'll be back in about a month for more PWD, so be on the lookout for more draft content in the meantime. And until then, I'm signing off for you the season. It's your coach, actually Amungus of the Atlanta Sobble, saying peace.